Okay, everyone, as you can see, I just share my screens with the HAR Statement of Antitrust Compliance for all meetings and events. I am sure that many of you are well aware of the statement, but I just want to make sure that we take a few minutes to read through it because it is very important for us to share this with you. All right. Thank you so much for reading through the statement. We truly appreciate it. So now it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. This is part of our affordable housing series, and we have amazing subject matter experts for you today. But before I officially start, let's just go over some housekeeping items. I have that question already in the chat, and yes, you will be receiving a recording of this session once the session is concluded. We'll make sure to send that to you via email. So be on the lookout from an email from me with that recording. Today's webinar, it's not for CE credit, so you won't be on camera and we won't be able to see you. However, we do utilize the chat to ask any questions you may have throughout the program, and we'll make sure to answer those questions for you at the end of the presentation. Again, this is a webinar about affordable housing. And of course, we have a wonderful sponsor with us today. He's been with us since the beginning of the series back in February. So Brandon Polito with Supreme Lending. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being today's sponsor. And we would like to hear from you now, Brandon.
Okay, thank you. As she said, my name is Brandon Polito. I'm with Supreme Lending. I am very happy to sponsor all of the affordable housing webinars, and a couple of quick things on some interesting products that you guys may use down the road. Of course, we have a lot of things for first-time home buyers, which include grants or just second mortgages. We do TDHCA, THCA, pretty much any program we do have available. So we can certainly help with that. In addition to that, a couple of unique products that we do offer. We do have a one-time closed construction loan. So basically what that means, in the old days, you would do one loan for the land, one loan for the build, and then you'd have to put those together. So we can finance everything into one purchase. So as far as 1, 2, 3 plus acres of property, plus the build, we can finance that all into one loan. And the interesting part about that is that loan can be set up just like any normal purchase. So if you're a veteran, 100% financing. If it's an FHA loan, 3.5% down, 5% down conventional. So that puts, typically with banks, that particular product requires a really high down payment. So we really don't have to do that. And then finally, we do have a lot of interest rates are lower. So you guys have heard the Fed has cut rates by 50 basis points. So rates are trending down, and I think we're going to have another rate cut probably in another 30 or so days. So if you have any buyers that are on the fence, now is the time to do that. And I'd love to be part of it. So I'll be reaching out to you guys separately. I'd love to meet you in person if you have the time, and hopefully we can develop a great working relationship. Back to you, Mary Angie.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And again, Brandon is today's sponsor for the Affordable Housing Webinar Series. And we'll make sure to add Brandon's contact information as well in the chat to make sure that you're getting all the good stuff from him. Now, welcome again to today's webinar, Understanding Your Property Taxes, Responsibilities, Exceptions, and Payment Plans. This session, we cover the essential responsibilities of the tax office and exceptions you may qualify for with the Harris County Appraisal District, or HCAD for short. Today, we have with us Renee Phillips and Melanie Lin. We are very grateful for you guys today to let us know everything that we need to know from the Harris County Tax Office, and we are very excited to hear from you. But first, let us know a little bit more about yourself and what inspired you to be here with us today for the Affordable Housing Webinar Series. Renee, let's start with you.
Yes, so again, my name is Renee Phelps. I am a licensed real estate agent as well. I do work for Harris County Tax Office. This information is very beneficial because this is something that we did not learn when we were going to school. This is something that I learned by working at the tax office. I think this is very beneficial to help you with your clients to kind of get a picture of what their taxes might look like, because that's always kind of one of those areas where they're like, okay, I know how much my mortgage is. How much is my taxes? Like, that's huge because I was a homeowner myself and wasn't really taught anything about what my property tax were going to look like. And when I got that bill, me and my husband was like, what is this? So it was unexpected for that, that amount of money. It was very unexpected. We didn't budget for it. So I think that this is very beneficial that, the agents can share with their clients of what, just kind of some basic things of what they can expect.
Thank you so much, Renee. And Melanie, let's hear a little bit about you.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Maylin, and I'm outreach specialist for the Harris County Tax Office. And today we are so happy that we can have this workshop with everyone to help everybody. As Renee just said, and we really try to educate and try to get our message out about the basic knowledge of property tax. And I do think this will definitely help our real estate pros, you guys, to help your clients if they do have questions, and you can answer the question confidently. And later on, Renee will just share some of the major topics, how the property tax is calculated, what kind of exemption that the regular or general homeowners would qualify, and also maybe later on, if we do, the homeowner do have a problem to pay for the tax office have some payment plan that can help the homeowner to keep their house. All right, so we were just looking forward to this presentation, and then later on I will join the Q&A to answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we are very excited to get started with the presentation, so take it away.
All right, so this is Ms. Ann Harris Bennett. She is our Harris County Tax Assessor, Collector, and Voter Registrar. On behalf of Ms. Bennett, thank you everybody for joining. And
Renee, can I interrupt you a little bit?
Yes, sure.
I can see your notes. Is that the right setting you want?
Hang on 1 second. That is not what I want. Give me 1 second here. My apologies. Let's see. Let's see give me a second here. All right, is that better? Can you guys see?
Yes, this is the one.
All right, awesome. All right, let's see here. Let me go back. My apologies.
You are good now. Awesome.
Hang on. Let me get back to the beginning. My apologies. Let me stop sharing here. Of course, there's always technical issues. You think you're good to go and you're not. Give me 1 second here. Let me start from the beginning. My apologies.
This is good now from my end.
Okay, all right, here we go. Now let me start that over. All right, so this is Ms. Ann Harris Bennett. She's our tax assessor, collector, and voter registrar. My name is Renee Phelps. I'm an outreach specialist. All right, let's get started. Let's see. All right, who we are and what we do. In reference to that, we do vehicle registration, property tax, voters registration, and other services. We have 16 branch locations. We're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30. We process motor vehicle title transfers. So what that means, if you sell or buy a car, we will transfer that title. We also issue motor vehicle registrations and license plates and disable placards. Also, in the property tax, we calculate the property tax rates for the county. We collect property taxes for the county. We may collect taxes for city, schools, and other local entities. We also have a voter registration department. That department came back to us in September of last year. So with that department, they register eligible voters. They're also an outreach department as well. Volunteer deputy voter registrar. So let's say that you wanted to register voters in your community. You could take a 1 hour class. It's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays for 1 hour. And you can actually register voters in your community. Some of the other services that are not so common, we process boat titles and registration. We collect various and other fees for the state and county, such as hotel, motel, alcohol beverages, and coin-operated machines. All right, so a little property tax overview. We maintain about 1.7 million tax accounts, so quite a bit of tax accounts. We collect for more than 8 billion in property taxes. Even though there's about 500 taxing jurisdictions, we disperse to only 81 of those taxing jurisdictions, and some of the larger ones would be Harris County, City of Houston, Houston ISD, and the Harris County Flood Control District. All right, so now we're getting to the part where it's property tax season. So Harris Central Appraisal District, which is also known as HCAD, their two main responsibilities, they're going to appraise and protest, and they're going to manage your exemptions. They appraise all county and residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural and business personal property at 100% of market value as of January 1st of each year. So that means that they're going to appraise as of the condition of the home as of January 1st of each year. So about April, you'll start receiving those your appraisals. If you don't agree with those appraisals, then we recommend that you protest. With the protest, you're going to have, with that appraisal, you're going to get a protest deadline form along with that appraisal. You'll have a unique aisle file number on that form. The deadline for protesting is going to be May 15th, or 30 days from the date of the notice. So let's say that you received your notice later, then you have 30 days from the date of that notice to do your protest, and it's going to apply to your market value. Just a little FYI when it comes to protesting, I always give a little protesting ideas. I do tell homeowners to take pictures of your home, and you might be like, okay, my home appraised at this, but I need a new floor, or I need new countertops, because HCAT does not go in the home and actually see what the condition is of the home. So I tell everyone, okay, if you're going to protest, have pictures, go and make sure that you're getting some estimates of the work as well, because when you're in front of the appraisal review board, you don't have very much time. It might be between 5 and 10 minutes. So you just can't go in and say, you know what, I believe that that my appraisal is too high. I have to have supporting evidence. You can also ask the appraisal district to give you the evidence that they're using. You can do that 15 days prior to you're actually going in and doing your protest. So you can ask for the evidence. I also tell homeowners to go to their local real estate agents and get comps from them, because that also helps as well. In regards to managing exemptions, exemptions reduce the appraisal value before tax rates are applied. Here, these are just some of the common ones. There are lots of exemptions that are out there, but in regards to property, these are some of the common ones. General homestead, over 65, over the age 55 surviving spouse, disability, disabled veterans, survivors of first responders killed in the line of duty, airship exemptions, and temporary disaster exemptions. Just kind of just a little FYI, a lot of homeowners do get a little confused about the over age 65. So these exemptions are for owners and co-owners. So an example of that, let's say that you have a home and your mother lives with you and she's over the age of 65. You do not qualify for the exemption unless she's an owner or a co-owner. But, just a little FYI. Exemptions are not automatically granted. You must apply between January 1st and April 30th. They have that deadline on there just to make sure that your exemptions are going to be applied in a timely manner. So very, very important that you apply between January 1st and April 30th. All right, so also the assistance for damaged property in a disaster area. We all have been hit with the recent storms that kind of caught us off guard. So what HCAT did, they went in and made a temporary property tax exemption. So the one for Dorico, that one's already passed. So Beryl, the one that happened in July, you have till October 21st to apply for this. Property owners can claim a temporary property tax exemption for properties that had sustained at least 15% damage of their appraisal value. This application is done on HCAT's website. All the applications are on the website. They're fillable. It's pretty quick and convenient. You don't have to make a trip all the way to HCAT. It's going to be the form 50-312, the temporary exemption property tax damage by disaster. They ask that there are documents be included like inspections, photos, repair estimates, or any other additional information that'll be helpful with them assessing the property damage. Approval for this exemption for the damage will be conducted by HCAT. So all of this is going to be done by HCAT. All right, so property tax database. So this particular database was created for transparency. So if you're a homeowner, I'm sure you've seen this little postcard that might have come in the mail, and it reminds you to go to the database. And there's lots of information about going to this database that pertains to your particular property. You'll see your various taxing units on that particular property. You will see your proposed rates. Also, it'll tell you the dates of the governing bodies that will conduct public hearings regarding tax rates. I always encourage property owners to go to these public hearings because a lot of people are very unaware of where what their budget is or where these property rates are coming from. But this particular public hearings, they are open to the public. Some of the smaller ones may not necessarily have public hearings, but some of the bigger taxing jurisdictions will definitely have hearings for you to go in and kind of see where they're coming with the budget. And what I mean by that, they're coming up with a budget on what it's going to cost to run your police department or your ambulance service. So these hearings I think it's very informational, and that way you know where are they coming up with these rates. Contact information is provided for the property owner's unit. So it's gonna have your name, your tax collector, your taxing unit properties. It depends if you live outside of the city limits. Let's say that you might live in Tomball or Cypress. You are going to receive like a separate taxing bill because you're outside of the city limits. So just a little FYI. You'll also receive a feedback section for comments about your taxing units regarding your property rates as well. So if you see this little card, it was created for transparency and for you to go on there and be able to see what your taxing units are and what your proposed rates are. All right, so now the tax season is over and now we're ready to start calculating your tax bill. So what that means, we're going to take your taxable value times your tax rate is going to equal your tax bill. So your taxable value, that is determined by HCAT. That's is going to be your appraised value minus your exemptions. Then here comes your tax rate. The tax rates are set by your taxing jurisdictions. It's by your government. They're setting a budget. And that was the one where you can go in and actually see how are they coming up with it and what's the budget. Now about October, November, we're going to start calculating your tax bill and sending it out to the homeowners, and that's going to come from us, the tax assessor collector. All right, so understanding your tax bill. This is an example of what your tax bill is going to look like. You might have seen it. I'm sure it comes in the mail. You've seen this little guy before. It's going to have, of course, our address on the top left. The scan bar, that's going to be your account number. Then you'll see our mailing address. The boxes, you're going to see your taxing jurisdiction. You see some examples: Houston ISD, Harris County Flood District. So you see all your taxing authorities in that little box. The next one are going to be your exemptions. Your exemptions are applied and your taxable values. Next box, you're going to see your tax rates. And then your consolidated taxes is due. That's how much taxes that you mail in and make your payment. So you're going to see next, your property description is going to be your address and your lots and blocks. Your appraised values is going to break it down for your land and your improvements. In the next little box on the bottom there, you'll see your exemptions and your deferrals. You'll see, for one, in this little box, it has homestead exemption. You might also see in that box multiple. So when you see the word multiple, it means you have multiple exemptions. It could be that you have your homestead, or you're over 65, or disabled veteran. But this little guy is just a little example of what your tax bill is going to look like. The next one is going to be a bottom portion. We call it a coupon with your payment. We ask you to send this in if you're going to mail in a check. You'll see again your account number, your owner's information. They may have a little message box just for you, the taxpayer, who you make your checks payable to, Ms. Ann Harris Bennett, the tax assessor collector, and our address, and then your payment amount. We ask that you send this in. Some people do have multiple properties, so if you send this little guy in, we'll know exactly what property to apply this payment to. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about homestead exemptions, which is going to be your general homestead. This is your most common one. With homestead exemptions, you do have to apply for them. It's not an automatic, but it is a one-time apply. Unless you move to if you move to a new address or a new home, of course, then you're going to have to reapply. But once you apply, it stays there. You do not have to reapply. It does have a 10% appraisal increase cap. So what that means is that each year your appraisal will not go any more than 10%. With the homestead exemptions, we have been in workshops before where homeowners say, homestead exemption, I've never applied for one. I've been in my home I've heard someone say I've been there 10 years and never applied for a homestead exemption. HCAT will retro back 2 years on homestead exemptions if you forgot to apply one on there. You do, apply your homestead exemption, let them know, hey, I never applied for a homestead exemption. I've been in this home for XYZ amount of time. Could you guys, retro back the 2 years? In order to sustain this, there was a $10,000 school tax exemption by state law that went into effect November 7th, and it became retroactive in January 1 of 2023. All right, so now we're going to talk about some recent changes that took place, changes from 2024. So Harris County, they increased the over 65 disabled exemption from $275,000 to $320,000. So that was a really nice exemption that was much needed. The next changes that happened in 2023, Harris County, they increased the over 65 disabled exemption from $250,000 to $275,000. So just an example of the change that happened in 2024. Let's say that you have a home and it appraised under $320,000. So for Harris County, you might see a tax bill of $0. So school, there was a general homestead exemption that increased from $40,000 to $100,000. Changes that took place in 2022, the city of Houston, they increased the over 65 disabled exemption from $160,000 to $260,000. Homestead exemptions became eligible for proration of date of purchase instead of January 1 of the following year. So it used to be if you purchase a home that did not have homestead exemption on there, if you purchased it, let's say June of 2024, you would have to wait until January 1st of 2021 in order to apply for your homestead. Well, you no longer have to do that from day one. If you purchase a home that does not have homestead exemption or let's say brand new construction, You go to HCAT's website, fill out the form for a homestead exemption, and give them a copy of your driver's license that reflects your new address, and apply for your homestead exemption. Another thing is, if you have a home, you purchase an existing home, it already has homestead exemption on there. You may enjoy those homestead the homestead that's already on that home, and then January 1 you may reapply, but that only applies to a home that's existing and already has a homestead exemption on there. All right, so we have a voters approved Proposition 4 that took place. Changes to your tax bill and increase your homestead exemption from 40,000 to 100,000. It also limited appraisal increases on certain properties, and so what that means is there's a 20%. Your property taxes will not increase any more than 20%, and that's on properties, let's say that's on commercial properties or income generating properties. Let's say that you're a landlord that limits an increase on your appraisal. This is a pilot program. It's only for 3 years. It will expire December of 2025. So it is one of those ones that will have an expiration. It's a pilot program. This required restructuring of the school finance system through the tax rate compression and recapture payments and reduce local revenues. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about homestead exemptions. We have a little example here just to kind of give you an idea of the importance of putting homestead exemptions on your home. So we took a home that was an average price of $325,000, and that home that's $325,000 with no homestead exemption on it, you're looking at a tax bill about $7,153. All right, so now we took that same home, average price of $325,000 with a homestead exemption. You're looking at a tax bill of $5,323 with a tax savings of $1,830. So very, very important that we take advantage of our homestead exemptions. Next one, we took that same home with the over 65 disabled exemption. You're now looking at a tax bill of $2,327. So you're looking at a tax savings of $4,826. So that's a huge savings. Harris County does allow 20% homestead and $320,000 value exemption for over age 65 and disabled homeowner exemptions. I will say, just for some clarification, there are some people that say I'm over 65 and I'm disabled. Do I get both? It's a one or the other. Some taxing jurisdictions, it depends, do different exemptions. So we do recommend that you give us a call or give HCAT a call to see which one of the exemptions will give you a bigger bang for your buck, because they might give you more for over 65 versus being disabled, or it could be vice versa. So we always recommend each taxing jurisdiction handles it different, to give us a call. That way we can let you know which one of these would be best for you. All right, so a little bit about over 65 and disabled exemptions. The over 65, you qualify for the entire year that you turn 65. So what that means is that you do not have to wait until your 65th birthday in order to apply for this exemption. So let's say that I turned 65 January of 2024 in December. I do not have to wait till December. January 1st of the year, I can apply for my exemption. Some people might say, well, HCAT knows that I turned 65. You still have to apply for the exemption. It's not an automatic. So it's very important. You do not have to wait. We do ask that you do it early so that it has time to fall onto your account. They do ask that you do it so that we can keep a paper trail, basically. With disability exemptions, you qualify for the entire year that you become eligible to receive disability benefits under the federal old age or survivors and disability insurance. So the benefits of both of these, you get your school tax ceiling or freeze, and we'll talk about that one in a later slide. You receive a $10,000 exemption for school taxes in addition to the $100,000 exemption granted to homeowners. You do become eligible for tax deferrals to pay your taxes in installments without penalties. And we'll talk about tax deferrals a little in a later slide as well. All right, so tax limitations. This is also known as a tax ceiling or a tax freeze. This limits the increase for your school taxes in some taxing jurisdictions, but it's not all your property taxes. This is only specifically for your school tax. It'll freeze that amount on your school taxes when you turn 65, it'll freeze it at that amount. With tax ceilings, you can, let's say that you live in a property and you have a tax ceiling on that particular property, you can take it with you to your new property if you move to a new location. Tax ceilings can be broken if you add additions to your home. So what that means is, let's say that you add a swimming pool, or you add a tennis court, or you're adding anything to the home, it can break your tax ceiling and the home will have to be reassessed for your tax ceiling. If it just basic repairs, if something's broken in your home, do fix it. But if you're going to add an addition, it could break your tax ceiling and it'll have to be reassessed. This applies to homesteads of 65 years and older property owners. So if you turn 65, it freezes your school tax. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about tax deferrals. What's the purpose of a tax deferral? Well, the tax deferrals basically came about for people who are on a fixed income. Think about it as an insurance as well. I like to always say that. Let's say that you turn 65 or you're a disabled homeowner or you're a disabled veteran. And you might say, oh, I'll never need a tax deferral. I don't need that. We always encourage you to apply for it anyway. Have it on your account just in case you come to a point where you might have some financial difficulties of paying your taxes. It'll always be there for you. Another example, let's say that taxes are due on January 31st, right? Let's say that you go in, you say, okay, today is January 31st. I'm going to go drop my payment off at the post office. Those payments have to be postmarked January 31st. So we always say go in the post office and have them postmarked. So that date, so when we receive it, that date that's marked on the envelope is going to be the day that we say that your payment was received. Let's say that you didn't do that and you just dropped it in the mailbox and it got dated for February 1st. There are penalties and interest that is involved. So this right here kind of gives you kind of a little security. If you run into a difficulty or something got postmarked the wrong date, it'll save you penalties. There is some interest that's involved with this one, but it will save you those initial penalties of 7%, which is pretty huge. But with the tax deferral, it postpones your tax payments and prevents foreclosure. There is a 5% interest per year on the unpaid balance, but with this, it definitely beats a 7% penalty. And then each month on the unpaid balance, there's an extra 2% added. So it's going to go from 7 to 9 and just keep adding 2% to that. So this actually it helps you, it protects you. The deferral does end upon the sale or exchange of the property ownership. So let's say that in the event that you might pass away or you might want to give the home to a relative. You might want to give it to your child or a grandchild. So the deferral does end. So let's say that I said, okay, you know what? I want to give this home to my granddaughter. So they have 180 days to make the payments without penalty or any type of interest or the interest. So on day 181, then there goes the unpaid balance plus penalties and interest on that. So if you're going to change ownership, please if you're going to do a tax deferral, it's important to let your family members know. Let's say you pass away, let them know that you have a tax deferral. It delays it. It does not cancel your taxes, just a little FYI. For tax deferrals, you're going to complete the deferral affidavit from HCAD. It's going to be on their website. The qualifications for the tax deferral is going to be homestead residents, and you have to be the age 65 or older, disabled homeowner, or disabled veteran. We do ask that you consult your mortgage company before submitting the tax deferral request because some mortgage companies do not want to lose their lien rights. So please, before you do a tax deferral, consult your mortgage company before doing so. All right, so need more time to pay. We also have flexible payment plans. They'll be between 12 and 36 months. You can use it as a financial planning tool. It can be paid off early. No attorney fees if the contract begins before the law firm starts collections. And normally that starts about July. So you can start these payment plans before the law firm takes over and starts collections. When it gets to the law firms, their penalties and interest are very, very pricey. They could be between 15 and 20%. By setting up the payment plans with us, this avoids collections efforts, it avoids foreclosure actions, and payment plans can begin as early as February 1st. So let's say that January 31st has come about and you're having difficulties making your tax payments. Give us a call on February 1st so that we may start doing these payment plans for you. Very, very important because we're here to help you. We don't want anyone to get into, collections and foreclosures. So if anyone gets into a bind, January 31st, they're due. On February 1st, give us a call so that we can set up a payment plan. All right. We also have quarterly payment plans. And these are for property types that have homestead, over 65, disabled owner, disabled veteran, and a surviving spouse. Interest, there's none if it's paid in a timely manner. So if you set up these plans, please make sure that you're paying them on time, because if you don't, there is penalties that comes along with not paying on time. Also, you have to start all over again. So it's very, very important if you set up a payment plan to pay them on time. The tax types is going to be on all unpaid taxes. The time is going to be 4 equal payments, and the due dates are going to be the end of January, March, May, and July. Accounts must be approved for exemption status, means that it has to have those exemptions on the account. All right, so we also have other payment plans as well. Property type for homestead plan, and we have other payment plans that's for non-residential or business, commercial, or personal property. Time frame for both of them are going to be between 12 and 36 months. The term for a homestead plan is going to be 1% interest per month plus initial penalty months. With the non-residents, it's going to be accrued penalties and interest. Tax type, current and prior years on both of them, and the due date is going to be at the end of each month. No attorney fees if the contract begins before the law firm starts collections, and that the law firm gets that around July. All right, we also have prepayment plans as well. So we're accepting advance payments for this year's prior taxes. So let's say that you want to get a head start on your property taxes. You can send any amount at any time for an unbilled tax year. With your payments, please indicate your account number and tax year on your payments, because some homeowners do have multiple accounts. Include your property address or account number on the payment. So what happens, these payments go into an escrow account. And when tax season, when your bills are due, we pull it out of the escrow. If you overpay, let's say you overpaid. Let's say if you overpaid anything under, let's say you overpaid $500, we will refund you your money back. If you overpaid $5,000 or more, it might take a little longer to get it back, but it is refunded. There are fewer extra steps if you go over $5,000, but anything under that takes about 30 to 60 days to process your refund. So if you ever say, you know what, hey, I want to get a little head start on it and I want to send in any amount, it goes into an escrow account. All right, so we have some payment options here. So you can go online to our website at hctx.net. You may pay by mail, but remember the postmark, it needs to be postmarked before the due date. Due date is January 31st. So we do ask that it's January 31st. and you're sending you want to mail in your payment, go into the post office and have them postmark it. Just don't drop it into the box, because whatever date is postmarked, that is going to be the date that we're going to say that your payment was made. You may also do it by telephone, 713-274-2273. And do it in person as well. We have 16 branch locations. So make full or partial payments on current or prior years. We ask that if it's going to be a prior year, don't do it by telephone, because it's a system that does not recognize prior years. So if you're going to make a payment, not by phone. So payment types and convenience fees, just a little FYI, if you use a credit card or a debit card, you're looking at a convenience fee of 2.45% of that payment. If you do check or e-check, it's free, doesn't cost you anything. If you do cash, only in person at the branch offices, because if you put cash into an envelope, it's a possibility it won't make it to us. So please, if you're going to do cash, bring it into the office. Don't throw it into a mailbox or send it through mail. All right. So to receive e-bills, we ask that property owners that you must register through our website if you want to see your e-bill. For taxpayers that let's say you paid off your mortgage, well, no more mortgage, and you no longer escrow, please go to our website to receive a hard copy bill as well. All right, so some important dates. January 31st, that's going to be your last day to pay without penalties and interest. February 1st, that's going to be the beginning date to request your payment plans. So let's say January 1st came around and you're like, I'm having difficulty making my payment. Give us a call on February 1st so that we can start to set up a payment plan for you. July 1st, that's when collections and attorney's fees are added to unpaid taxes. And those attorney fees are very, very pricey. So we're here to help. We want to help you before you get to the July 1st. Before you get to that point, please call us so that we can help you. August to October, that's when your local jurisdictions are adopting tax rates. So during that time, like I said, all jurisdictions, the smaller ones, you may not be able to go in and sit in on that, but the bigger ones, you're able to go in and actually sit in and see where, with the budget and what the tax rates are going to be. October to November, that's when your tax bills are mailed. So we're calculating, and that's when we're actually calculating them and mailing them out to homeowners. December 31st, that's going to be the last day to use as a deduction for your same year's federal tax income. So let's say that you wanted to use your taxes, your property taxes, and you want to use it on your income tax. So we ask that you send your payment in by December 31st. All right, the tax office is open. You can go online to hctax.net. You can email us at tax.office@hctx.net, or you can also give us a phone call at 713-274-8000. We are here to help you. All right, so if you have any questions or concerns regarding your appraisal, protest, exemptions, please contact Harris Central Appraisal District, also known as HCAD. They are off of 290 in the Northwest Freeway. You may also go to their website, which is a very easy website to maneuver through if you have any kind of exemptions that you need to that you want to apply for. Their website is there. Everything is fillable. You can download everything. And versus going into HCAD itself, pretty easy. You can also email them help@hcad.org, and their general phone number as well, 713-957-7800. All right, also, if you'd like to receive a certificate of completion, you can email us at taxoutreach@tax.hctx.net. If you could email us your full name, your mailing address, and your training date, Some people say, hey, am I going to get a discount by doing this certificate of completion? No, doesn't give you any type of discounts, but it does. It's just something nice to put on the wall to say, hey, I completed the presentation. All right, and that concludes our presentation. I'll turn it back over to you, Ms. Mary Angie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that presentation. I know Maylene, who is going to show up right now, she has been answering all questions in the chat as well. So we truly appreciate you being active in the chat, Maylene. We have a few questions here. And Maylene, if you have any questions that pop up to you that wanted to answer live, please feel free to do that as well. I know a lot of people were saying that for the exception, if they're 65, and they just turned 65 the year prior, can they do it in 2024? You answered that live, Renee, with your presentation. So thank you very much for that.
Yes, so for the over 65 exemption, actually, the residents, if you qualify, you can start to apply from January 1st. In the year that the residents qualify to apply, rather than until, fully turn over 65. For example, if that person's birthday is July 1st, that resident doesn't have, the homeowner doesn't have to wait until July 1st. He or she actually can start to apply the January 1st because the senior over 65 exemption apply to the whole year. So it doesn't matter when you are apply, as long as you can apply in the year that you turn 65, it will be okay. And some people might forget to apply. I think I just apply in the chat, and for the over 65, we can catch up to 2 years but no, for this exemption, you still have to apply to just go to Educate to apply. And I believe at this time, this is up to 2 years. You still can catch up a little bit, and hopefully you won't be late to more than like 2 or 3 years. All right.
That is good to know, the good information. A question that recently came in says, can residents apply for their homestay exemption in office versus online? If so, what should they take?
Hold on. Can you repeat the question again?
Can residents apply for their homestay exemption in office versus online? If so, what should they take if they apply in person?
Okay, so for homestead, I believe you can actually apply online. You download the form from Educate, and also the important thing is before you apply the homestead, you need to update the address on your driver license. Yes. Because Educate actually just based on the address on your driver license as a property official address that you claimed for your homestead. So this is something you can actually do online, but just pay attention. You need to update your driver license first.
Yeah.
So they should only apply online. They cannot go to any office and apply.
No.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely can go in person, not a problem. Yeah.
and I've also had with my experience that I've had someone that also said that they also brought in a utility bill. They might have brought in like their light bill or a utility bill. That'll also help as well.
Perfect. Are there exemptions for investment properties other than the pilot program of 20% increase cap?
Okay, so this is two different concepts. When we are talking about the 20% cap, those are the properties that doesn't have any homestead qualification, and they are under 5 million. That's specifically, I believe it starts from last year. We have like a 3 years pilot program for those maybe commercial property or rental property. Okay, so this one doesn't apply to the homestead. Homestead, we only, again, in the presentation is a 10% cap. It's 10% lower than that 20% for sure.
Perfect. What if the homestead is in the name of a living family trust? Can you still apply for over 65 exemption?
I believe so. I believe so. I mean, as long as you qualify, you should just take advantage of all the exemptions that you qualify. For one thing, another thing, a lot of people might get confused. Renee was talking about since the last, I believe since 2022, when you purchase a new home, you can immediately apply the homestead exemption prorated. Okay, but for that 10% appraisal cap, you have to, I mean, the homeowner need to live and own that property for at least 1 year. Okay, so it won't immediately apply. For example, you just bought a house, say July 1st. So when is your next appraisal value? Will that 10% apply? It has to wait until this year is 2024. And the homeowner has to wait until at least 1 year. That will apply, goes to the 2025. So at that moment, even with the 2025 earlier, you receive the appraisal value, that 10% wouldn't apply. The first year it start to apply is when you received your appraisal value in 2026. Does that make sense? Because it has to go over at least 1 year. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm hoping everybody understand a little bit like this. Another thing I want to just clarify is tax deferral is different from the tax ceiling. Okay, tax ceilings, tax freeze, those are the way for specific area we talk about over 65 and disability category, they can take advantage of this exemption to reduce their tax responsibility. But for tax deferral, this is the homeowner would decide it if you want to take this approach to postpone your property tax. This is much more how the homeowner want to pay, how you want to pay your tax. So this is two different concepts. And if you do have a question, you can keep asking so we can clarify this concept.
Yeah.
And I also, earlier I run into a question, it says the disability veteran. Okay, so disability veteran percentage that only apply to the disability exemption. Okay, it has nothing to do with the tax deferral. Tax deferral is based on if this veteran, if he or she want to choose to postpone her or his property tax. But for one thing, a lot of mortgage company, they might not necessarily recognize this approach because they will be afraid once their clients couldn't pay for the responsible tax amounts, then the possible scenario, for example, the foreclosure, the tax sale might happen, and they do have this kind of a lien concern. So what I know is not all the mortgage company would allow their clients to go by with this approach. So your clients need to before they want to apply tax deferral, it's better to call their mortgage company if they still pay their mortgage. All right, just to make sure that you qualify to do with this, not just only from educator, but also from your mortgage company.
Yeah, because I think, yeah, to your point, we probably would not allow somebody to defer, like, yeah, the property taxes. I think where that might come more in handy is if you had someone that owned their home and does not have a mortgage on the property, that's probably going to be, more beneficial. But in most cases, people are escrowing for taxes and insurance. So, to your point, that probably would not work with most lenders or banks.
Yeah, that's why we say consult with your mortgage company before you do that.
Okay. I think this kind of goes hand to hand with the question that we just answered, but it says, how does homestay exemption apply for more than two property owners, such as the mother, father, and adult son? And one of them is not living in the property, which would be the son.
I'm not quite understand this question. Can you repeat?
So I think they're saying that they're co-owning. Maybe that's what they're saying, that they're co-owners.
Okay.
So yeah, that they're saying that they're co-owners, but they don't. It's not their primary residence. Like they have a home, but
Right.
the other people are co-owners, and they are. It's not their primary
Okay.
residence.
All right. So so earlier we talking about who qualify this homestead exemption. It has to be the homeowner who physically live and own the house. So if it's called owner, I mean, unless everyone is physically living in the same house, then that can just do like 100%. But for example, let me say, for example, divorced couple, all right, and they actually still co-own the house, say 50-50%. All right. So, but only husbands live in the original house. All right. So that property only got 50% of the property homestead exemption, because only the husband who owned 50% of the property physically live in the property. So everyone who is not living in the property, although they co-own, they don't qualify.
Perfect.
Hopefully, this clarify some of the confusion.
Okay, so he clarified, he went in here and said, mom and dad live in the house, son is the co-owner, but lives in another state.
Okay, so I also want to take this opportunity to talk about a little bit the heritage exemption. Okay, so this is another example. For example, the parents pass away, and for example, there are 3 siblings. Okay, they are co-owns this one, but there's only one siblings is living with the parents, take care of the parents, and the other 2 they might out of states or out of the county, even with just out of county. Okay, so at this point, and we all know a lot of things after the parents pass away, they might go through the probate process. Okay, so this heritage exemption is specifically for situation before the probate finalized. So this the other 2 siblings, they can apply. Actually, it's supposed to be 3 apply altogether, that they are willing, the sibling who is not living in the house, they are willing to give the share, not the owner's share. This is specifically for the heritage, okay, to the sibling who actually live in the house. So that person can get 100% exemption. Yeah, rather than only get like a 33%. Okay, so this is something for the heritage exemption works. So after the probate finalized, and of course the title has been cleared, and 3 siblings now co-own this officially on the title, that heritage exemption will just get out after that whole probate process is all done and completed. If that makes sense to you.
It does to me, so thank you very
Yes.
much.
So eventually, after the finalized the probate, that will become like if there's still only one sibling live in the house at that point, that person can only do 33% of a homestead exemption. Yeah, rather than 100% that the other his or her other siblings give to them for the heritage exemption. This is the difference. Okay.
I want to go again. We have a few questions about the homestead. So, when a resident has a homestead on one property and now they moved and have a new primary residence, they can now apply for their new home. Do they have to do anything with their previous property?
I would say definitely you want to clarify if you are. I'm not quite sure if you are just moving away or you are sold a house. Okay, there is a difference because if you are selling the house, they're supposed to have a new homeowner, and if just like earlier we talked about what's the what's the qualification to eligible for the homestead is you have to physically live in the property. So you are supposed to move your homestead to your new household rather than still and not doing anything. I know some of our homeowner they might just didn't pay attention. And for one thing, if you apply to the new house, and actually in Texas, every household homeowner only qualify for one homestead exemption. Even
Mhm.
you have another house in, for example, Travis County or Montgomery. No, I mean, this is eventually overall, if you get picked up, I believe there is a severe penalty for this. So definitely, I would say you want to do a little bit math to see which one will save you more.
Yeah, so with homestead, it is your primary residence. You
Right.
have to live there.
Yeah,
If you have a home that's like income generating, and then you have your primary, you only get one homestead. That's on the home that you live in.
right. Physically living.
Hmm.
And what do they need to do to change from the primary home to now, if they move to another house that's now their primary, what do they need to do to the other house that they no longer live in?
I believe you have to, I mean, very beginning, you have to update your address on your driver license as I talked about earlier, and go to the new counties to apply. And of course, you also want to give the notice to your old one that you have already moved these ones to your new household.
Perfect. We have a few people asking where they can read more information about the heritage exemption.
Heritage exemption, you know what? I actually can find, I believe on the
Right.
HCAT website,
Hmm.
actually, you can, I will type in right here, and if you are interested, we can take a look at that. I believe there is, let me see. There's a heritage. I remember they have a brochure, very thorough information. Let me check if I still can find it or they are still posted on their website. And in the meanwhile, if when I'm checking, if Renee, you can answer the
Yeah, sure,
questions.
sure.
All right.
Uh,
Pardon me.
would you explain the difference between a disability exemption versus a veteran disability? What qualifications do they require?
Well, okay, so veterans, you're going to receive a letter through the VA that says that you're disabled. They'll do a letter, no matter your percentage. They'll be like, okay, so and so is disabled 100% or 65%. Just a little FYI with that. It doesn't with the veterans. It doesn't matter if you're 100% or you're 10%. You'll get an exemption according to your percentage. So you're going to get a letter from VA that says that you're disabled and how much. If you are just disabled, you'll receive a letter from your physician if you needed a letter to say that, hey, or Social Security, I'm sorry. through Social Security or through, I think through Social Security Administration, they will give you like a letter or an award letter that proves that you're disabled. So that's the two differences with those. With those, as far as proving it, they're gonna HCAD, you'll fill out the form, and HCAD will ask for you to send in supporting documents to prove that you're disabled or you're a disabled veteran.
Very good.
Okay, and I correct myself. Actually, that's specifically document is on state website. I'm going to put in the chat. So
Thank
and
you
then
so
you
much
guys
for looking for
not
that,
a
Mary.
problem.
Okay.
All right, if everybody can just, I put on the chat, you can take a look at that. It's very thorough. And you can take that as a reference.
Fantastic. Can you provide more information on the deadline of December 31st, 2023 of property taxes? How and why would a resident want to use this for the income tax?
They could use it as an exemption on their tax return, on their federal tax return.
Okay. Can you have a over 65 on 2 homes in Texas?
With the over 65, it's your primary residence only, so cannot be on two. It's your primary, is where you live.
Yes. We keep answering that question because it keeps coming up.
It's
I
okay.
just
I
want to
mean,
make sure.
it brings clarity because, you know, so this can be very confusing. So it brings clarity. So it's okay.
Yes. So just remember, everyone, it has to be your primary home. You can only do it once. Let's see. Yes, you can apply in person. We answered that before. Just make sure that you have documentation of your primary residence, especially your driver's license.
Not a problem, our pleasure. That's why we are.
Perfect. I'm just gonna keep reading here. If you guys have any comments, anything that you would like to add to the webinar, anything that we didn't cover basics on, just please feel free to chime in while we get more questions in the chat. A lot of people saying this is great information and we appreciate you being here.
Oh, our pleasure.
Okay, we have this question here. Maybe this one is a little different, but you guys would let me know. But it says, my parent own 2 homes. One lives in one house and the other one lives in the other home. They purchased both homes while they were married. Can they both get a homestay exception?
Okay, so based on the, I believe it is based on the state law, a married couple we consider as a whole. All right, it's so only, I mean, only a couple can only pick one to be their primary residence as a homestead. And I'm not quite sure if the parents separate or divorced, but what I understand is the state take the couple as a whole. So if it's a married couple, it's supposed by law only qualify for one homestead.
Very good. How can a resident confirm if they already applied for over 65 exception?
I believe if okay, so earlier I believe Renee showed the bill. Okay, or actually we can go to if you can go to the EduCAD website, put onto your address, you can see what kind of exemption you qualify. For one thing, if the regular homeowner only qualify for homestead, for example, I'm a homeowner, I only qualify for homestead. But for people who are more than over 65, or they might have a disability, they qualify for disability exemption. Case like this, if you qualify more than one, on the EduCAD website, we only will just reveal multiple, because we don't want to reveal any other private information, the age, or if you have a disability. So if you don't feel like comfortable or not sure, not certain what kind of exemption that you qualify, other than the homestead, I would suggest please call tax office or EduCAD for sure to clarify, to confirm.
Yeah, because it's public record. Anybody can go in and look it up. So therefore,
Right.
it's not disclosed. So for clarification, definitely give us a call and we can tell you.
What about if the person is both disabled and over 65?
Okay, so if this person doesn't have any veteran status, in this situation, this homeowner only can pick either one, either over 65 or disability. And at this time, yes, you might need to do a little bit math to see your county giving more or the same or less, between these two. Okay.
Yeah, because some taxing jurisdictions will give you more for over 65 versus disabled, or it could be vice versa.
Yeah.
So definitely give us a call, and that way we can kind of help you to see where you get your bigger bang for your buck. But it's a either or. It's not both.
And some they give the same, so that will be
That's true. Yeah.
Yes, but every county is different. You just need to check and see which one will be the much more beneficial for you.
And you can also check through HCAD as well. They have a little drop down where you can actually go in and look at your taxing jurisdictions. For instance, I'm in Tomball. You can go there and hit Tomball, and it'll break down all your taxing jurisdictions and rates, all of that.
Very good. A lot of people asking if the webinar is being recorded, and yes, you will receive a copy of the recording once the webinar is done, and we will also send you a copy of a PDF of the notes that we had for you during the presentation. So be on the lookout for that. That will be via email, and we also posted in our YouTube channel, HAR TV. If you have any other questions, please let us know in the chat. In the meantime, I want to take this time to thank Maylene and Renee to be here today. Is there anything else that you guys would like to say to our members? Anything else that you want to add? Any other information? Maylene, anything else you would like to add?
Not really. Yeah, but I would just let everybody know, if you do still have questions, as earlier we give away our contact information. I also posted in the chat if you catch it up. Please, I know, just contact us anytime. We are here to help.
Thank you so much, Renee.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for having us. Hopefully this was some good information that everyone can pass along and use themselves or even give to a client. But we appreciate Brandon for hosting. Thank you. And thanks for having us. It was our pleasure.
Had a great time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Brandon, for being the sponsors for today's webinar and being the overall sponsor for the Affordable Housing Series. I thank everyone for joining us here today, not to maintain yourself informed as well as your clients. We will see you next month on October 23rd, where we're going to talk all about the Housing Symposium coming up in November 14th. So be on the lookout for that. When you receive a copy of the recording, you also receive the link to register for next month's webinar. In the meantime, have a wonderful week, and thank you again to our subject matter experts and our sponsor.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.